Looking for my gate number on the departures board, and spotting it without breaking stride, I headed for Gate 1, the nearest gate. With just a few minutes left until takeoff, I walked a few steps to the gate and boarded the plane. The seat I had reserved was right next to the window, and the seat next to me was unoccupied, plenty of room to spread out. I was in first class with only 3 other passengers. The 2 female flight attendants were pleasant and very attractive. They said my special meal was on board. I had plenty of leg room and all my seat controls worked perfectly. Seat back tilt, contour button, leg rest, light switch, even the stereo controls. Everything continued flawlessly. The plane's door was closed exactly on time, and we taxied immediately to the end of the runway. Pausing barely an instant, we began our takeoff roll, which sounded and felt extremely smooth. There was very little vibration, just a steady increase in power and speed as we became airborne and gently glided up. I felt no bumps or strain, and we quickly leveled off to a quiet cruise speed at our assigned altitude. Then the plane went into a steep dive and crashed into the ground, killing all but 2 of us. Fortunately, my co-survivor was a fantastic-looking woman, a registered nurse who had taken survival courses. After a quick check, we realized neither of us was hurt, and then I remembered I still had 2 joints tucked into my sock. We got high and made love several times. The sex was great for both of us, and we promised to see each other often if we somehow managed to get out of there. The only condition on her part was that there be no commitment of any kind between us. She wanted to be independent. I agreed. After a short time, we found some sandwiches and beer. We ate and drank and laughed for about an hour, and then we noticed that a signal flare gun had landed nearby. We fired off 1 flare, and almost immediately saw a small private plane flying overhead. They spotted us and began to circle. They made a low pass at us, waggling their wings, and then headed off, presumably to get help. Thank God, everything was still going smoothly. That's when the gorillas showed up. I don't think it's right that ugly women should be allowed to get plastic surgery and get fixed up to look real nice. I think if you're born ugly, you ought to stay that way. That should be it. It's not right to let people get fixed up. It's creepy to think that you could possibly find yourself fucking some woman you picked up because you thought she was great-looking, but underneath she's really ugly. She got her nose fixed, her lips, her eyes. She got nipped and tucked and liposuctioned, and the surgeon did a good job. He didn't overdo it, and now she looks really great. But underneath it all, she's horrible looking, and you're actually fucking a pig. Someone you wouldn't even ask for change of $1 if you could see her real face. It's not right. Ugliness should be a permanent condition. The continuing story of Mary and Joseph. It's a boy. Joe, we're going to have a baby. What? That's impossible. All I ever do is put it between your thighs. Well, I don't know. Something must have gone wrong. Who says you're pregnant? An angel appeared to me in the backyard and said so. An angel? An angel of God. His name was Gabriel. He had a trumpet, and he appeared to me in the backyard. He what? He appeared to me. Was he naked? No, I think he had on a raincoat. I don't really know. He was glowing so brightly. Mary, you're under a lot of stress. Why don't you take a few days off from the shop? The accounts can wait. I'm telling you, Joe, this angel Gabriel said that God wanted me to have his baby. Did you ask for some sort of sign? Of course I did. He said tomorrow morning I'd start getting sick. Well, why would God want a kid? Well, Gabriel said that according to Luke, it's kind of an ego thing. Plus, he promised the Jews a long time ago. It's just that he never got around to it. But now that he feels ready for children, he doesn't want to just make them out of clay or dust. He wants to get humans involved. Well, is he going to help toward raising the kid? God knows we can't do it alone. I could use a bigger shop. And maybe you could throw a couple of those nice crucifix contracts my way. The Romans are nailing up everything that walks. Honey, Gabriel said not to worry. The kid would be a real winner, a public speaker, and good with miracles. Well, that's a relief. Anyway, I guess now that you're officially pregnant, I can start putting it inside of you, huh? I'm sorry, honey. God wants it to be strictly a virgin birth. I don't get it. That's right, Joe. Don't I get to do anything? He wants you to come up with a name for the kid. Jesus Christ. Joe, you're so heavy. Guys and Dolls, Part 2. Man, oh man. To my way of thinking, men have only one real problem. Other men. That's where all their trouble starts. A long time ago, men gave away their power to other men. Princes, kings, wizards, generals, and high priests. They gave it away because they believed what these other men told them. They bought the okey-doke, the bullshit. Men always buy the okey-doke when it comes from other men. Some stranger probably stood up at a campfire and said, "All right, boys, from now on, I'm the king. The sun is my father, the moon is my mother, and they're the ones who tell me when to throw the virgins into the volcano. I'll be expecting all of you to bow deeply when you see me and give me half your crops. Plus, I'm allowed to fuck your wife. And don't forget, if I want to, I can concentrate real hard and make your head explode." And the other men around the campfire nodded their heads and said to one another, "This guy makes a lot of sense." A man will always buy the bullshit, because a man is not too bright. But I'm not suggesting a man doesn't have a great deal to put up with. He does. First of all, a man has to make believe he knows what he's doing at all times. And while he's doing whatever it is he's doing, he has to make believe he doesn't need any help. He has to make believe he can fix anything. And if he can't fix it now, he can fix it later. And if he can't fix it later, he has a friend who can fix it. And if not, it was no good to start with, it's not worth fixing, and besides, he knows where he can get something better, much cheaper, but they're all out of them right now, and besides, they're closed. This is the male disease. It's called being full of shit. The male disease includes the need to be in charge at all times. In charge, in control, in command. A real man sees himself as king of the hill, leader of the pack, captain of the ship. But all the while, in order to fit in and belong, he has to act like all the other men and do what they do, so he'll be accepted and get a good job and a promotion and a raise and a Porsche and a wife who will immediately trade in the Porsche on a nice, sensible Dodge van with folding seats so they can be like all the other boring families. The poor fuck. The poor, stupid fuck. His manliness also requires that he refuse to go to a doctor or a hospital unless it can be demonstrated to him that he has in fact been clinically dead for 6 months. "No sense going to the hospital, honey. I don't seem to be in a coma." Therefore, he must learn to ignore pain. "It doesn't really hurt. Bleeding from 6 holes in the head doesn't really hurt. Just give me the remote and get me a beer and get the fuck out of here." Most men learn this stupid shit from their fathers. Fathers teach their sons not to cry. "Don't let me hear you crying, or I'll come up there and give you something to cry about." Great stuff, huh? All the problems in the world, repeat, all the problems in the world can be traced to what fathers do to their sons. So little boys learn to hide their feelings, and society likes that, because that way when they get to be 18, they'll be able to go overseas and kill strangers without feeling anything. And of course, that bargain includes a certain reluctant willingness to have their balls shot off. "Honey, I have to go overseas and have my balls shot off, or else the rest of the guys will think I'm too afraid to go overseas and have my balls shot off." The poor fucks. The poor, stupid fucks. And so, as a result of all this repression of feelings, the extent of the average man's emotional expression is the high five. Or sometimes, when really deep feelings emerge, both hands, the high 10. This is raw emotion. And that's about all they're capable of. And they have Dad to thank. Thanks, Dad. But wait, don't think dads can't be fun at times, too. After all, dads introduced their sons to the wonderful world of men, the male subcultures, the really tough guy, masculine He-Man stuff. No wimps, no pussies, no softies. There are 5 deadly male subcultures, and they all overlap. The car and machinery culture, the police and military culture, the outdoors and gun culture, the sports and competition culture, and the drug and alcohol culture. And as a bonus, I'm going to throw in one more. The let's go get some pussy and beat the shit out of queers culture. As I say, they all overlap. Many men belong to all 6. This male universe is, of course, detectable by analyzing its combustible chemical formula: gasoline, gunpowder, alcohol, and adrenaline. A chemistry rendered even more lethal by that ever-present, ever-delightful accelerant, Testosterone. Talk about substance abuse? If it's chemical dependency you're interested in, you might want to look into testosterone. Testosterone! The most lethal substance on Earth. And it does not come from a laboratory. It comes from the scrotum. A scrotum located, interestingly enough, not far from the asshole. How fitting! And as it happens, all these male subcultures share a particular set of features. Homophobia, coupled with an oddly ironic, complete childlike trust in male authority. Men are attracted to powerful men. They also share a strong fear and dislike of women, and this in spite of a pathological obsession with pussy. Testosterone!